Hello friends, in this video I'm going to explain about Squid proxy server. So you might have heard about this term Squid proxy server, but let's try to understand what exactly this proxy server is doing. Okay, so this proxy server basically sits in between the actual origin server, which is located at the internet world, and the other side we have the local client, which is trying to reach out to the actual server that is residing at the internet world. So this you see there are four systems at the right hand side, and there is the left hand side that you see the internet service provider. In between, you can see the Squid proxy is located. Okay, let's try to understand how this proxy server functions. Okay, so first time, assume that one of the client at the right hand side, that's a lower most client that you see here. So is trying to trying to reach out to a website which is called www.krishna.com, and he is this request being received by the proxy server, and this proxy is in turn sends this message to the actually internet service provider, and then the service providers reaches to the actual server, and then internet from the internet the reply comes back to the requester. So this is how the traditional things happens, and it goes on like that. So by introducing proxy, what it does is when the next person is trying to do a request to the same website, so it's not the request is not going to be sent to the actual server all the way. Instead, it will be serviced from by the proxy server itself. So it need not go to the actual server. Instead, it will be served by the proxy server itself. The proxy server, hence, what it does is it actually stores the information of the pages in its own cache, and then it will find out if there is a new request. If it is a request which has already been learned, then he will service from his own cache memory. And if it's a new request, he'll start to send it to the actual server. And then while doing that process, he will try to learn it in his cache memory. So that's what actually the proxy server functions. So what is the use of this? So by introducing proxy, we can get a good faster response, and then we can also have some rules to filter any kind of traffic that is going in and coming out from the internet, and then going to the internet. So we can write all kinds of rules in the proxy, so that we can block all things, and then we can filter whatever things that we need as we require. Okay, uh, let's try to understand the setup here. First thing is basically we have our Ubuntu virtual machine, and this Ubuntu virtual machine will send out a request to the internet. Assume that there is no Squid proxy earlier, so the Ubuntu virtual machine reaches out through the NAT interface, which is ENP0S3, that was created by the VirtualBox Manager. And the IP address happens to be 10.0.2.15, which is a NAT interface. So it'll get translated to the public IP address, and then it'll start sending the request to the actual server in the internet. So it'll directly go, and then the reply comes back, and then it will be fetched again. So what we are trying to demonstrate with this restricted setup, in actual scenario, the proxy will be in a different network. So in this video, since we have a limited simulated kind of environment, so what I'm trying to reproduce here is I'm just running the Squid proxy right onto the local host itself, that is on the ENP0S3 itself, that is on the 10.0.2.15 itself. I'm running the Squid proxy server. So the moment the user is trying to reach out to a server in the internet, so the Squid proxy will come into picture, and then he will try to read out the packet, or he'll try to understand the request, and then if there is a rule that is made inside the Squid proxy, he will apply that rule, and then if, after applying that rule, the Squid proxy will forward the request to the internet, and from the internet you will get back. And if you see there is a magenta colored line, so that the red colored line. So the red color line, is indicating the first request that goes. The first request, it will go through the Squid proxy, and then it will go to the actual internet. From the next time onwards, if the same request is being sent by the user, so it will not be sent all the way through the internet. It will be serviced by the Squid proxy itself. So one thing I'm trying to use here is we can either use curl or browser. So you might have wondering what is a curl. Curl is actually is a command line tool and library that can be used for transferring data using URLs. So since it is with this environment, the browser is having some issue to work on the local host. Running proxy on the local host is not much supported in the Firefox. So I'm going with the curl utility. Okay, let us try to get into the actual steps for the Squid proxy. Okay, let us try to install the Squid proxy. The Squid proxy will not be available by default in your distribution, so you have to install using sudo apt-get install Squid. So that's the first step. So the next step is going to be you have to configure the port number to. So the port number by default will be 3128. So that's the HTTP underscore port. So 3128. In case if you want to change it, you can do so by changing the port number in the config file, which is the config file which is located in /etc/squid/squid.com. So that's the config file you may have to look for. So inside the in case if you want to change the port number, you can change it. In case if you don't want to change any port number, you can leave it like that. It will work in the 3128 port itself. Okay, so next thing that you need to do is ACL configuration. What is ACL? ACL is access control list. This access control list will give the rules for the proxy uh, about whether the packets needs to be accepted or what are the networks that are accepted and things like that. So the rules that I'm going to write here is ACL. The name of the rule is test, and I'm saying the source is going to be 10.0.2.15. So what I'm trying to say is, say here is if the packet, what I'm trying to tell the proxy is if a proxy sees a packet coming from the 10.0.2.15, please go ahead and allow that. And I'm also saying local net. So source not only 2.15. So whatever hosts that are connected in 2.0, please go ahead and allow it. And then I'm going to give another rule called block. The name of the rule is block, and I'm going to say DST domain, and then I'm feeding a file. So the file is called block.txt. I want to list down all the website addresses which I want to block for in my proxy. So I'm going to place my block.txt file under the Squid etc Squid block.txt, and I'll be listing down all the website addresses which I want to block in my network. Okay, once you configure the ACLs, then you have to give the final permission, which is HTTP underscore access deny block. Block is the name of the ACL rule, and then we are going to say HTTP underscore access allow test. Test is the next rule. We we have mentioned that 10.0.2.15 is a genuine thing, so you need to allow that. And finally, second step is actually you need to mention the website addresses that needs to be blocked in the /etc/squid/block.txt. And the next step is actually you may have to say the local host and the local net. So we need to be allowed. So that also need to be mentioned as HTTP underscore access allow local host and allow local net. Local net is the one that we have mentioned it as 10.0.2.0. Okay, so another thing is cache memory. If we increase, it will be good for the proxy for good response. So I have increased the cache memory size from to 500 MB, that is 500 MB. The cache underscore mem is the name of the parameter, and maximum object size in memory, so that's the next parameter. I changed it to 500 MB and 1500 KB. So the next one is, these are the configuration. Let's try to do this in the Linux now. Okay, so let me log into the root. Okay, so I'm first I want to check whether my Squid server is running, Squid proxy is running. Yes, it's running perfectly, not an issue. So let me try to open the config file, and let us. Okay, so these are the places that I have made the changes which I had mentioned. So local net, and then these are the ACLs. Test is the ACL, and then block is another ACL. I mentioned block and test. Block ACL to be denied and test ACL to be allowed. And then HTTP underscore access, allow local host and allow local net. And the memory cache memory increase that I talked about. So these are the changes. And I have not changed the HTTP underscore port for I'll show you the HTTP underscore port. Yeah, if you see here, HTTP underscore port, it is by default is 3128. I'm keeping it as such. I'm not changing it. Okay, so that's the configuration is all about. So now I'm going to invoke the uh, curl utility. I'm going to call the command to use. So now we have to test this. So before that, I'll also show the list of website addresses that I've blocked. So yeah, block.txt. I'm blocking facebook.com and yahoo.com. So so you have to put .facebook.com, .yahoo.com in case if it's going by subdomains. So that will also be blocked. Okay, so that's how it is. And now let us invoke the curl command. The command goes like this: curl and minus x means use this HTTP proxy. This is the proxy, and the proxy is 10.02.15 312 running on the port number 3128, and I'm going to reach out to google.com. That's the option here. Minus I is the option to reach out. So first time you have to see here miss from server. When you see miss from server, so this is actually is the message that it is saying that google.com it's trying to reach out through the proxy, but the proxy is not having any message or any cache memory regarding the Google. So it's saying miss from server. Let's try to do it again. So the next time you see here, it is hit from server. So in the sense, it is now going from through the proxy server the proxy server cache memory has been successfully hit, and then it is now reaching through the cache, proxy server. So let's try to do the same with yahoo.com, which we try to block. So first time it's saying miss from server. I'm going to do it again. So this time it's also going to say miss from server, and it's never going to be learned because it's not going to go through the proxy. So that's how it will not go through the proxy at all. So that's what is this thing is referring to. Okay, let me get back to the slides. Restart this Squid proxy server by giving this command, and then you can use the curl command to check whether the proxy is working or not. You can also use the access.log in the var log squid access.log to see if the TCP underscore hit message. Okay, let's also see that. Tail, it is var log. Okay, see here, so there are a lot of hits. Uh, so which means actually it is going through the okay, can just only see the cat bear log with access.log. Let me filter it with grep. It. So there are some TCP hits that we see here, and the and these messages are for the google.com. Okay, google.com, and if you see the yahoo.com, we see the miss here. Miss in the sense it's not going through the proxy. So that's by that way we can make sure the proxy server is actually working. That's all, guys. Thanks for watching. I hope you like this video. In case if you like it, so share it and subscribe. Thank you.